Hi, this is Mike Ungerman of the Central Florida Computer Society. At today's APCUG Wednesday Linux workshop, we're going to talk about imaging backup using Macrium Reflect and CloneZilla. Backup, backup, backup. No discussion of maintaining a computer be complete without discussing its backups. And you've been exposed to Wednesday workshops this month that have focused on many ways for making backups. Today, we're going to discuss making backups using portable flash drives to make an image backup of your computer, regardless of the operating system, as long as you can boot up a flash drive. Backing up with bootable flash drives have a number of advantages. Portability. Bootable flash drives are compact and easy to carry, allowing you to back up or restore systems on the go. Independence from your operating system. These tools operate independently of the installed operating system, which is helpful if the operating system is corrupted or unbootable. Versatility. Supports a wide range of file systems and platforms. And cost effectiveness. Macrium Reflect has a free version with robust features. CloneZilla is free and open source. Let's take a look at Macrium Reflect first. Steve Parker presented an introduction to Macrium Reflect at an APCUG Wednesday workshop in 2023. Rather than repeat his excellent presentation, here's a link to review it for all of the features of Macrium Reflect image backup program yourself. And I urge you to take the time to do so if you have an interest in Macrium, as he goes through all the features and advantages of using it. However, Macrium Reflect is a Windows-only software program. So to use it on other computers, it has to be installed and run from a Windows computer in order to create the bootable rescue media that can boot up and run from any computer that can boot up and run Windows Portable Edition. Macrium Reflect's last official version before they upgraded their software to version X or 10 is version 8. It is no longer free from their website, but you may be interested in getting the official version and paying the license fee, and so I've listed macriumreflect.com. However, an archive site, Major Geeks, does make the free version available. And here is the link for that. In our presentation, let's take a look at their site and see how to download and create the bootable recovery drive from their software. So let's go through the process of creating the Macrium Reflect Rescue Media Drive. Here's a link if you want to try it, or if you actually want to see what I'm doing, and we're going to play it today. And if you get the video later, you can also take a look at this video on your own. I've uploaded the video to YouTube. We're going to take a look at that. There is no sound, so I'm going to narrate what I did. First, when I did record this, I had to get rid of the Zoom. So it's majorgeeks.com, and we're going to go ahead and search their site, and we're going to search on Macrium Reflect. If I could spell it right. There are multiple results, and we're going to get the one that allows us to download it. This is version 8.0.773, the last official release that was free. It's available for 32-bit and 64-bit computers. We're going to download the 64-bit. You can see I downloaded and installed it previously, but I wanted to go ahead and go through the process for this video. Very quick download. Let's make sure that I got it. Yep, there it is. Let's go to the folder. Reflect setup free, x64. Double click. It's loading. Installing. Now, normally you'd see the installation dialog. In my case, since I already had loaded it previously to test it out, I get prompted for modify, repair, or remove. So for me to proceed, I'm just going to go ahead and click on modify. Make sure my desktop shortcut shows up. It's installed. Let's launch it as we finish. Remember, we're on a Windows computer now, and I could just start using it if I wish, but what I really want to do is create my rescue media. So I'm going to go to other tasks, create rescue media. I want to put it on my flash drive. Shows the version of Windows PE. I did check the box for multi-boot just to make sure it's compatible with other systems. It's going to completely erase anything on the flash drive that I put in. It's installing. And if you don't have Windows PE on your computer, it's going to download a copy of it first, build it, and then it's going to pick up right where we left off. So it's going to take a little bit longer than what I'm showing here. I just advanced through the video. Successfully created. And we're going to go down and take a look at it. Go to the Windows File Manager. Go down to the USB disk that I just put in. And that's what it looks like with all the information that I put on the disk with the ability to boot. Okay, we'll close that. And I'm going to reset that for the next time I use it. And go back to the presentation. So now that we have our rescue disk, let's look at another video I made where I booted up on a small notebook running Linux Mint and actually make an image backup. Again, here's the link for this video if subsequently you wish to go and look at it. Keep in mind that I'm narrating these videos myself now, so there will be no sound on these, but it'll go through it. So we will stop that guy. It started running again. Okay, so backing up with Macrium Reflect, not Reflect version 3, but this is the third version of this video that I recorded. And we'll start it on screen. I'm on a Dell computer. Top right, it says that I've already pressed the F12 to get to the boot menu. And then my boot menu shows me everything I can boot from on my computer, so I'm going to have to go over to the bottom, which is the USB disk, and click on it. Okay, and this is going to be accelerated through again. I skipped a bunch of blank screens. And we're coming in now while Reflect 8 is loading. The Windows PE has to put in all the resources necessary for a Windows program to run on whatever you boot up. But we eventually get into the very similar screen that what we saw when we made the disk. And in this case, we're going to go to backup, and we're going to back up an image selected disks on this Dell computer. So this is showing me the partitions that I want to back up. I don't want to back up the drive that I'm going to back up to, which is my Signature Mini. And then I have to go down and select a folder. So I'm going to browse for a folder and find the Signature Mini. There it is. And it's got a Dell folder that I already put on it, so I would know that's where it's going to be. Going to give it a name, Dell. For some reason my keyboard didn't want to type in that second L. I'm trying, but it just doesn't want to take it. So sorry for the shakiness. Let's try again. Okay. So it just says Dell. I think I put a 2 in. Yep, we put a 2. Took my number key. That's the name of the backup that will be on my backup drive, which is a Signature Mini. Go into some of the advanced settings. Compression is medium. I just normally leave it at that, but I could make it more compressed if I need space. And it's going to only back up the sectors that are used. So if there's empty sectors on the drive, it's not going to do it. We could make an exact clone if we wanted to. If you're using NTFS on your backup drive, and I recommend you do that for Windows especially, then you'll get one file. But if you say FAT32, for instance, which is usually the default of these backup drives, it's going to partition, or it's going to break up the backup into 4 gigabyte segments and make it a little confusing when you go to restore. So best to have NTFS formatting on that destination. I don't particularly want to auto-verify the image ahead of time, but I want to verify the image after I take it, after it's made. So I'm not going to verify the integrity of the file system, especially if it's Linux, because this is a Windows program. But I am going to auto-verify the resulting image. I'm going to turn that off. When the program's done, I just don't want it to do anything. I want to just stop, especially if I walk out of the room or I do this overnight. So I just want it to be there when I finish. I could type in some comments here on what this backup is. And the numbers that you see will be in the prefix in front of the word Dell. So it prefix it with the image ID. A little fuzzy. I apologize for that. My camera keeps going out of focus. I had to use my cell phone mounted on a tripod in order to take pictures of the screen. Okay, so this is what we're going to make of our backup. It's giving us what the summary is going to be when we do it. Really only going to be backing up about 20 gigabytes according to this. There's the name of the file, image ID plus Dell, and it's the very first one. I'm going to tell it to finish. Okay, it is testing the disk write speed. to make sure that it can write properly. And you may want to consider running check disks both on the source and on the destination before you start this process, if you can, because if there is a bad sector on either the source or the destination, your backup is going to stop or fail and give you an error code. I've had several people report those problems to me, and sometimes I'll even forget to check, because what I'm backing up, I want to not have problems, and what I'm restoring, when I go to restore it, I don't want it to have problems. So I'd like both hardware, both drives, to have their tests, whether you do it under the Windows control panel, under the tools, or whether you do it in Linux or Mac for that matter, I suppose, although I don't know anyone using this for Mac. Okay, so now we are saving the very first partition, which I think is the boot partition, telling me at 4 minutes. So I think I set this up so it will show some of this and then jump ahead, so we don't have to go through all this sequence. I don't want to bore you with 4 minutes of, okay, we're down to 3 minutes. We can set up the priority. Don't know why when I clicked on it, and there we go. No, it doesn't want me to put my mouse pointer over it. So I can, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see the priority, and it can actually control the priority that the computer's processor that's running this program gives to this program. By default, it's high, and you really shouldn't be doing anything else when you're making a backup. Transfer rate looks like 450 megabytes per second. And now I'm transitioning to where we have just about completed. Progress is at 99%. Telling me that it is verifying. Down at the bottom, the shorter green bar is the current process. The overall process is at 99%. So it's showing that we are now verifying what we just backed up. So it's reading the destination disk and then going back and comparing what it read from the original disk to make sure that it's correct. Or 24% verification. Transfer rate's a little bit slower on the verification. And if I was smart, I would be advancing this also until it's about 90% done. We're at 40%. Let's see if I can advance this a little bit more, a little faster. Okay, we're just about done with the verification. See if I can, there we go. Okay, I'm going to get to it. Okay, so we have now done our backup. It's showing the results. If I was going to do a recovery, I could redeploy the image to brand new hardware if I wanted to. I can also fix Windows boot problems when I restore if for some reason Windows doesn't like the image restored and doesn't know how to boot it. Windows does have it built in the repair functions, but Macrium Reflect has recently put that into their software so that I typically will always run the fix Windows boot problems after I've made a backup or getting ready to restore it in order to make sure that Windows will boot when I just reboot the disk. In the center, you can see it is showing where the backup was put. And it did, because I'm running this on Linux, and it did actually pick the C drive, and that is actually my mini. So it's not putting it back on the computer, but how it re-lettered the drives. And those are showing all the images that I have on the Signature Mini at the moment. And there's the under restores, redeployed to new hardware, fix Windows boot. You can also explore the image by mounting the image you just made and recover individual files and folders. So it'll give it a drive letter. Unfortunately, the bootable version doesn't have that function. And here's where you could pick the backup, and then if you wished, you can restore it, or you can browse it. And getting information as to how large it is and how much space is available. Using the menu in the center, you can see that I can browse it, I can restore it, I can verify it. What I did is refresh my screen just to see if I had any new information. You can see I actually have 2 backups on there. If I was going to restore it, which I'm not going to do, then this is where I would take the image on the bottom and drag it to the top. Or actually, take the image on the top and drag it to the bottom. I'm sorry. Because the image on the top is my mini, and the image on the bottom is my current drive. And I think we are done with this. I'm going to get the menu after I close it. Yep. Okay, so we're done with this video. I'm going to reset it. And go back to the presentation. So, although it's not practical for me to actually do the restoration, because I can't override the computer that I just backed up, but I wanted to get the actual procedures and also give you a tool and recommend AI when you want to know how you're going to do something and you don't have a guide and the help in the program is not that good. Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini. I just basically said, hey, Copilot, how does one restore an image made with Macrium Reflect using the rescue disk? And we'll go take a look at that. And let's let Copilot, along with a AI voice, tell us how to do that.
Restoring an image with Macrium Reflect using the rescue disk is a straightforward process. Here's how you can do it. Boot from the rescue disk. Insert the rescue disk, USB or CD DVD, and restart your computer. Access the boot menu, usually by pressing a key like F12, ESC or DL during startup, and select the rescue disk as the boot device. Load the Macrium Reflect environment. Once the system boots, the Macrium Reflect interface will load automatically. Locate the backup image. On the main screen, go to the Restore tab. If the backup image is not listed, use the Browse for an image file option to locate it on your storage device. Select the image to restore. Choose the desired backup image and click Restore Image. Choose the target disk. Select the disk where you want to restore the image. Be cautious as this will overwrite all data on the target disk. Adjust partition settings, optional. You can resize or move partitions if needed before proceeding. Start the restore process. Review the summary of your selections and click Finish to begin the restoration. Reboot your system. Once the process is complete, remove the rescue disk and restart your computer. This process will restore your system to the state it was in when the backup image was created. Let me know if you'd like more details on any of these steps.
Now, if you're restoring to a Windows computer and you actually want the Windows computer to boot to the rescue disk, you might have some problems getting Windows to let you boot it. So I did actually ask the AI what to do if Windows won't let me boot from a USB drive to boot and run the Macrium Reflect rescue disk. And they had a bunch of stuff, and I just didn't really agree with everything that was there, including the fact that Windows Secure Boot might just prevent you from doing that. And they struggled through all of these recommendations, which I really had a lot of problems with. So I actually discovered something that I passed on to Huey, that you can get into the advanced startup options on a Windows computer, 10 or 11, if you're in Windows, just open the Start menu and click on the power button, and then hold down the Shift key while clicking Restart. And you're going to get the advanced startup options menu on a reboot. And then from that menu, choose Use the device, and then you'll see the rescue disk sitting there, and you boot it. So I was amazed at how simple that was. So a nice little tip. So Macrium Reflect is an excellent image backup program. It's seamless with Windows, but it requires rescue media to be created on a Windows computer in order to back up a Linux computer. Rescue media is compatible with any computer that can boot into Microsoft Windows PE, thus providing a backup capability for computers whose operating system may be hacked or corrupted, or recovering images for new hardware, yet not containing an operating system. So I'm going to pause my presentation and stop sharing my screen, and I'll turn it back to John and Judy. If any questions are there that I can answer about Macrium Reflect, we'll do so now. Okay, I'm back, and we're about to start part 2 of our presentation, CloneZilla. So CloneZilla is another image backup program that's designed to run from a live bootable flash drive or even a CD or DVD. CloneZilla has the advantage of being an open source backup tool Originally, when it first came out for Linux, that'll run on any computer that can boot from a USB flash drive or CD DVD. It runs with a simple, fast, and guided command line wizard that runs on top of a live Linux kernel. You download the zip archive for your current operating system online to install CloneZilla on a flash drive. Here's the link. Let's go take a look at that. So here we are at CloneZilla.org. You can go there first if you want to learn about the program. But under downloads, it goes to this branch. And what they do is they give you, what type of computer are you on? And at the moment, it's actually detecting the computer. So as far as they're concerned, their version of Linux anyway, it's an AMD 64. And then the file type is going to be zip, but I could get an ISO if I want to burn the ISO to a CD DVD, or if you have a program like Rufus where you can take an ISO and burn that to a flash drive. But they recommend getting a zip file and how to put it in the boot mode. So as stated, you've got to create that bootable flash drive to boot and run on the computer. So it has instructions, same website, 2 different locations on how to set up CloneZilla for Windows. And I just happened to choose the latest version, which is a UEFI, which would be the more recent version of Windows on our computers. But the other versions are on their website. And also they have instructions for Linux. So we'll go to the instructions page. Again, it's CloneZilla.org and then live USB, etc. And that link is on the presentation and will be in the show notes. And here you can see, well, okay, so I've even got Mac OS listed here. So I've got instructions for Macs if you want to use CloneZilla to back them up and get an image. So for Windows, we've got the 2 versions, UEFI and Legacy, which is the old MBR. But if you've got an older computer, it may still be set up with MBR on the hard drive. So GPT is what most hard drives are set up. And they tell you here to download the version of CloneZilla. Gives you instructions if you have a partition of at least 500 megabytes in size on your flash drive. And make sure it's formatted in FAT, not NTFS. So it can be FAT16 or FAT32. And if it's not, they're saying create a 500 megabyte partition on your flash drive and format it with FAT16, FAT32. So typically, most flash drives come with a format of FAT32 on them. And I just like to go ahead and reformat it. So I'll use whatever computer I've got and just tell it, stick it in, format it. And by default, it's going to be FAT32. Then use whatever unzip tool that you have in Linux, can be 7-zip or pzip. In Windows, you can right click and say extract here, extract all the contents of the zip file directly to the USB flash drive, and make sure you've gotten all the directories, as they say, and don't change the architecture. And that's it. Now, having said that, I did not make mine using Windows. I made mine under Linux, but it should work. Should, I guess, is the word. And you can just reboot your computer and have CloneZilla boot up. Good thing to test it out just to make sure. And if for some reason it didn't work, you can come back and put it in the MBR mode and try that. Okay, so they have instructions to do that with either Rufus or Etcher. Let's see, let's go back up to Linux. So Linux is going to be a little more complex because you're going to have to use the terminal. They want to have a PMount program actually installed so that you can mount or unmount your flash drives as appropriate. So if you don't have it, they're saying that you can use the terminal command sudo, which means give you administrator mode, apt install pmount, and then let it install, and then extract it with, again, I like GUI programs to do extraction, or you can right click on the file itself and just say extract here and extract it to the flash drive. Or you can use the terminal and use an unzip command, and it tells you where you're going to put it. And then the reason for pmount is so that you unmount the drive before you reboot to it. That's making sure that everything is written to the drive. A little complex, I know, but at least it can be done, and I have done that. And we'll go back to the presentation. So, having made my CloneZilla flash drive, I went back to the same notebook running Linux Mint and made an image backup. And now you have the pleasure of watching that. So once again, F12, bring up the screen so I can boot. CloneZilla comes up. You'll notice that all of the default settings will have an asterisk next to it. So all I had to do was press enter and tell it to boot. So CloneZilla is now booting up. It's its own Linux distribution. So you get some of the things that even I don't understand what's going on, but the Linux insists on telling you what it's doing as it goes through the booting process. And you will see some errors, but those errors, again, are normal. Each time Linux boots up, there's going to be some errors on just about everybody's computer. So we're going to go ahead and continue, starting the program. It wants to know what keyboard, English, keep the same layout. I press enter, start CloneZilla. And I'm just taking all the defaults up to a point. So now they want you to choose which mode, and I'm going to say worth with disks or partitions, and then assign where the image will be saved. And I've determined that it will be definitely will be a local drives. And then once I've selected those choices, you're now seeing at the bottom of the screen what the terminal is displaying to you. And they say, if you want to use a USB device as your repository, please put the device, wait 5 seconds, and press the enter key. I already had it in, so it just went ahead. And once again, the screen goes black, scaring you, and you go into the program. So it's reminding me, if you want to use it, wait for it to be detected. And then I looked at this and I said, well, okay, it looks like it's got the right disks. And my little backup drive is actually is a Hitachi. So it looks to me like I press Control C to exit this window, which I'm about to do. And I'll advance the screen if I didn't spend too much time on here. There we go. Now the terminal is doing its thing, and it wants to mount the device that it's going to back up to. So it's the very first one. It is a 512 gigabyte. And let's see, we would save the image. No, it's not. There we go. I'm wrong. And that's important to know. You want to know where you're going to back up. So look at the third one, and it does say Signature Mini. So I might have made a mistake and written over my system. Now it wants to know if we want to check or repair the file systems. Again, I don't let my backup programs do that. I check and repair before, so I'm going to skip repairing. So I'm just going to press enter or tab to OK, either way. I think interactively check and repair would repair a Linux computer if was necessary. But this, for me, I'm going to do that automatically myself. Okay, so which directory now on the destination disk do I want to use? And it found the Dell directory, which I had. So that's what we're going to do. Path on resources, dev SDA1 Dell. Selected name is Dell. So I could browse if I needed to and find another directory, but I'm going to press my tab key so it goes over to done, and then I'm going to press enter. And done. Okay, back to the terminal telling me what it's doing. So it's binding the computer, showing the source. And unfortunately, my screen is right at the bottom of the screen and right over the name, but it went on. Okay, what mode do I want? Oh, definitely beginner. Accept all the default options. No warranty. You're treading on territory yourself, but it will overwrite your hard drive when restoring it. They're telling us if you were restoring. And they're saying from now on, if multiple choices are available, you have to press the space key. But I just pressed enter. It gives you a default name for the image, which is going to be today's date. It's going to be in the Dell folder. And it repeats that down at the bottom. And what disk are you going to use as a source? Now, at least I know that's my source. Linux can run on a very small hard drive. So the hard drive that's in my Dell computer is only 128 gigabytes. And it's NVMe, so that's nice and fast. And I guess the NVMe, the manufacturer, is even detectable. So we've got an asterisk up there. I'm just going to say OK. Compression option, I'm going to take the default. Do you want to check and repair the file system before saving it? Nope. As I said, well, I think we answered that before, but it's coming back and asking me anyway. So skip check-in. And after the image is saved, you want to check if the image is restorable. That I do want to do. So yes, check the saved image. And OK. And do you want to encrypt the image? No, I'm not encrypting the image. I just want it to go to the destination hard drive. What do I want to do afterwards? I want to get a menu item. So when it says choose, I could just say shut down, but I want to see what everything's there. Okay, so now it's telling me that it's created a command for all the choices that we made, and it put it in a file that I could just repeat by bringing it up on the terminal, which is kind of nice. And now you're seeing all of the functions that it's doing. And it's thinking, oh, I have to, yep, I had to answer. Okay. So once it finished with the setup and the script, it's now executing the script. So this is now the program. They're calling it partition clone. And I've sped this up quite a bit to save going through the half hour or so that it took to back this hard drive up. And we got to this point. Hopefully I sped it up sufficiently. It's just starting. There's the data block processing. I may go ahead and advance this. Let's see where we are here. Oh, we're getting pretty close. Okay. Speed it up to the last segment where it's at 99%. Telling me the image was successfully done, and now it's going to be verifying. Speed it up a little bit. I was going to put it, but we'll say it's done. Everything is done. And I should get the finishing menu. Here we are. So this is my choice tells me that I can actually go to the command line prompt if I want now, which I don't. I can reboot the computer, which I do want to do. This time I'm going to let the computer boot up into its Linux operating system. I told you see the errors, but this is now working off that NVMe drive, which is nice and fast. Sorry for the dirty screen. Okay, we're going to go and take a look with our file manager. There we go, Michael. You found it. Okay, there's the signature mini. There's the Dell folder. There's a couple of the backups we made with Macrium Reflect that have the MR IMG. And then we have the image that was made by CloneZilla. And it's actually put into a folder that we can read. So this is everything that CloneZilla saved. But it treats it as an image. If you use CloneZilla to recover, it's going to treat it as an image. Okay, we will close that and reset it. Back to the presentation. So it's not really practical for me to restore an image for this presentation. However, AI to the rescue with Copilot. How does one restore an image made with CloneZilla? So I'm just going to go in, since I don't remember where I put it. Here's your step-by-step guide. You boot into CloneZilla Live. You'll do the same thing for language and keyboard. This time, you'll change the mode to backup to device image mode to restore from an image file. And you'll go through the same process. Where is your image? You'll find it, in my case, on the Signature Mini. Then you'll pick Restore Disk to restore the entire disk, or Restore Parts to restore specific partitions. And I know John really focuses on installing Linux with dedicated partitions for different purposes. So if you didn't want to overwrite your data and your data is on a different partition, then you would just pick the system partition to restore if you got a corrupted system or for some reason got hacked or something along those lines. But that's a nice option. And you choose the source and target, and CloneZilla then will show the progress as we did, and you reboot and make sure that it's ready to go. So I really like, if you don't have the guides, this is what I do quite a bit. So CloneZilla is also an excellent image backup program. It may seem a bit complex by what we went through today. And to be honest, I wasn't that comfortable running it the first time I ran it. And it's not a program that I use on a regular basis, but I do have it. And so it's a backup to my backup. And now that I've done it for this presentation, I'll be a little bit more comfortable just going ahead and making a backup using CloneZilla on my Linux computers. But it does run from its own Linux operating system and program, so it can boot up on computers running Linux, Windows, or Macs, or computers with no operating system installed. And it supports file formats for Windows, for Mac, and for Linux. And the software itself does guide a user through the backup or restore process, but it can be run from a command prompt. And maybe that's something I'm going to learn about later, because I saw as we went through it that the selections I made created a text file that I can just paste into a terminal. And without having to answer those questions every single time, it's just going to go ahead and make the backup for me. And it's going to be a lot faster. I'll let you all know in the next presentation. So once again, questions?